GNDR members. My name is Dr. Julia Muraszkiewicz, Practice Manager at Trilateral Research. Together with my colleagues, Dr. Sue Anson and Peter Wilcznik, we will be taking you through a series of videos on safeguarding for civil society organizations as part of the GNDR's local Leadership Academy. We hope you enjoy and can apply and share this learning with your organization.
Now, in part 2 of operationalizing safeguarding and best practices, I'm going to first touch upon the importance of a survivor-centered approach to safeguarding, and subsequently, I'll touch upon the best practices on a number of key practical aspects of safeguarding. Now, firstly, the survivor-centered approach, which was mentioned in one of the previous videos as well. So this should be embedded within all policies and approaches to safeguarding. And it essentially means that the survivor of the safeguarding incident must be at the center of the response. And the responding organization must respect the survivor and respond to their own individual needs. You should offer professional support to survivors of harm caused by staff or associated personnel, regardless of whether a formal internal response is carried out, such as an internal investigation. Ultimately, decisions about support will be led by the victim or survivor. The support may include psychosocial counseling or other specialist and appropriate support as needed. And just important to highlight as well, the survivor should be able to decide if and when they avail of any support in the first instance. Next, I'll address reporting a safeguarding concern. It's important to ensure that safe, appropriate, accessible means of reporting safeguarding concerns are made available to staff and stakeholders. Complaints related to safeguarding should be reported either to the safeguarding officer who's been appointed as such, or through the whistleblowing policy. Any staff using the whistleblowing policy should be protected. Recognizing that victims and survivors may find it difficult to report, it is essential that a respectful, accessible, and non-judgmental environment is provided to those reporting. While not breaching confidentiality or impinging on privacy rights, it is important to be able to provide updates on progress or even lack of progress. As mentioned during the first case study, that is part of accountability and also helps people to feel that they are stakeholders in the process. Next is responding to report. Safeguarding reports and concerns must be followed up. An investigator should be appointed to review each complaint, and the investigator should normally be a senior member of staff, but it can also be an external investigator. It will also be important to cooperate with donor investigations and report any criminal concerns to appropriate authorities where safe to do so. Complaints about external partners. Now, safeguarding complaints about external partners and other organizations should be referred to the affiliate safeguarding teams, who should report in turn where it is safe to do so. Where appropriate and safe, they can report to safeguarding working groups, networks, charity commissions, law enforcement, and donors. You do not have to investigate the cases yourself, where they are not working with your organization, but it's important to report where appropriate. Reports of safeguarding incidents and subsequent follow-up should be documented in a secure and confidential database to ensure accountability. It's best practice to officially acknowledge within 24 hours a report, and the safeguarding team should convene a case conference to assess immediate risks and next steps within 72 hours to ensure that there's prompt action. And in relation to investigations, it's important to carry out independent, safe, and discreet investigations with investigators who are trained on safeguarding specifically. And accountable decision-making. You need to take swift and appropriate action against employees and associated personnel where they've been found to have committed a safeguarding breach. This may include administrative or disciplinary action and/or referral to appropriate local authorities when it's safe. As mentioned above, it's important to offer support to victims and survivors in line with their wants and their needs. Confidentiality is also an important issue to consider as well. It's essential to allow complaints to be made anonymously. Any information that identifies someone involved in the complaint should be limited to a need-to-know basis. Any information that identifies or could identify someone involved should only be shared with the informed consent of those involved. That being said, if someone's life is at risk or a child is at risk, or the law requires this information to be shared to the appropriate individuals, this can be done where it's safe to do so. There's an importance of maintaining confidentiality, and this should be emphasized in training and information about safeguarding, as well as in the complaints process itself. Any breaches of confidentiality should be taken seriously with disciplinary action or termination remaining possibilities. This should not impinge on whistleblowing, however. All personal information should be kept secure to avoid unauthorized or incidental access to confidential information. And when ensuring privacy in relation to data, one of the possible approaches is anonymizing data or pseudonymizing data, aggregating data, or ensuring the proper storage and deletion of data, and ensuring that these issues are covered in data sharing agreements within the organizations who you work with. And this helps to prevent safeguarding issues from occurring or victimization after a safeguarding incident. And finally, training and recruitment. As mentioned in previous videos, it's important to conduct appropriate checks on backgrounds of your staff and associated personnel, particularly where they have direct interaction with vulnerable persons. Once recruited, they should also be informed of the safeguarding policy and process. It's important to have regular trainings, both internally for your own staff and externally for associated personnel, and for stakeholders to tell them about safeguarding, but also about available processes and who to report to. And just to reiterate, this should be done iteratively as opposed to a strictly one-off basis. And just to mention as well, finally, the training should not just cover the procedural aspects, but also issues such as sensitivity in a way that is tailored to the particularities of your own context in which you operate.